Hey, good morning. It's Juan at PSL. Hope everything is good. I'll make another video about my NYPD X life. Working NYPD was a great job after being a transit cop most of my career. I really did enjoy transit. It was the way to go. If I had to do it all over again, I might have checked into Port Authority, but I definitely would pick transit over NYPD. I like the closeness of the guys and the girls that we worked together. Some of us became friends in the academy and never stopped being friends. I'm gonna call this video 20 and Run. I just saw something that reminded me of it, and I said, you know what? I was one of the few people that I know didn't want to retire from NYPD. I did not. There were so many reasons to stay and go past your 20. Number one, I was 41 to 42 years old. I think I was going on to 42. So yeah, I was around 41, 42 years old. So I still had to work after that. I wasn't going to retire. I was just going to retire and then go work someplace else. But the only reason I'm going to work someplace else is because NYPD has a bad reputation that if something goes wrong around you, in your unit, in your command, in your building, in your, in the block you were in, the subway station you were in, whatever, and you were not involved, you got suspended just like the person that did whatever they were accused of doing it. So you have to deal with the fact that you kind of had to tell yourself, okay, try not to get in trouble, which in New York is not a guarantee. It's not even 50-50. You're going to get in trouble. It's just how bad are you going to get in trouble? But if you're active cop, you're going to stop somebody that's not going to want to be stopped or not want to. There's going to be a group of people around them that don't appreciate the way you stopped the person that was committing a crime. And that was a real concern as you worked in New York. Not only did you have to catch the criminal, but you had to hope that the people that saw you catch the criminal, whether it was violation, misdemeanor, felony, I realize not everybody was a felony, but what I'm saying is it was an arrest. It was an arrestable offense. You're there to do your job. You're not a social worker. You can, direct them to better resources as a social worker. But basically, you're there to, especially if you have a boss and you're working anti-crime. When you're working anti-crime, you're kind of guaranteeing that you're going to be a little more active than the uniform guy. Not that the uniform guy is not active. I'm just saying active as far as producing numbers. Uniform guys had enough on their plate, backing up other officers, carrying out special assignments, booth escorts, and high-prone locations and stuff like that, uniform presence, rush hour details. They have a lot on their plate. So don't you ever think that I'm downplaying the uniform presence. I just felt I was a natural at plainclothes anti-crime assignments that required a large amount of activity, whether it was summonses or whether it was misdemeanor arrests, whatever it was, I was an ideal candidate. That's why I was working a job I wanted to work. I didn't come to work thinking, wow, I can't wait to get out of here. That was not my case. I understand everybody else that had to leave because they've had it. I understand that, believe me. I'm not taking nothing away from those guys. But in this video, I'm talking about myself. 20 years, I could have easily done 25, if not more. Don't forget, during my 20 years, the last 6 years, I did not get a raise because our gracious mayor thought it was fine to give us 0 contract raises every year for 6 years. So my salary did not change the last 6 or 7 years I was on the job. It wasn't until later on, and I had relocated to Florida, that I heard on the news there was a big, I'm not gonna say a big article in the news saying that the rookie cops qualify for food stamps. The starting salary was so low. For someone that has to put their life on the line for other New Yorkers, some of them I'm grateful, and some of them very appreciative. The ones that were appreciative, I think, put us over the line as far as then we started getting raises. I don't think it was the same mayor. I kind of lost track a little bit. We're talking 20-something years ago, 24 years ago. So my point is, if I had stayed another 5 years, I would have got some of those raises that I never got in my final 6 years. And as a 20-year veteran, you can almost pick your assignment. And I was happy where I was at. So it would have been a no-brainer for me to stay in plain clothes and keep doing what I was doing. I was very good at it. And also I worked with a lot of great guys. A lot of great guys and girls. And you know, when you work in a great team and a good team, you know, if you don't get along with your coworkers, it can be some tough days ahead. But in my case, I was lucky. We kind of made like a neutral ground, or if you budge a little bit my way, I budge a little bit towards you, and we'll work it out, you know. And we did, and a lot of us did. We worked together, you know. Like I said, we built up friendships that have lasted over 45 years. And even some of the new people that I met later in my career, we've become friends. So there's such a unity when you work with a great group of officers, detectives. It's such a great unity because your safety depends on each other. And you know, how close are you gonna watch my back if you're pissed at me all the time? Or if I'm pissed that I'm stuck with you all the time and I'm trying to get away from you, you know, I'm putting my own jeopardy and your jeopardy at risk. So unity was very important. I would have definitely stayed over 20 years, but I couldn't play Russian roulette with my pension. It just wasn't, it just wasn't a good idea. I didn't hear of a lot of instances because I wasn't up to date with my NYPD news. You know, there could have been people in other counties, you know, suffering that they might lose their job because they didn't do nothing wrong, but their partner did, or their teammate did, or their, you know, a guy not even assigned to their unit but in the same building did. Whatever the consequences, I thought the consequences were too high. You know, if you ask me as a reasonable person, were you involved, and you have me under oath and I'm there with my lawyer, and I can explain to you, look, I wasn't even there. I didn't know of the incident until I saw it on TV, or later on in the locker room somebody was talking about it. If I can give you that explanation, I would feel that a common sense person would say, well, he's not involved. The witnesses didn't say he was involved. The victim didn't say he was involved. And he and his co-workers are saying that he wasn't involved. That to me is common sense. That to me should vindicate me. But I couldn't take that chance. I could not take the chance. Their policy was, you know, suspend everybody and go for their jobs. Especially if you had over 15 years on the job, they were going after you first. that's just, I couldn't in my heart take that chance, because this pension is not only mine, but I support my family with it. And that's a big task on your shoulders. You know, continue supporting your pension, your family with a pension you earned over 20 years, and because somebody had a bad day, not that you might not have a bad day, we're human, we might have a bad day too, but I think you would be a little more restrained passing that 20 year hurdle. I think it would be in the back of my head, you know, be careful, take it easy, be careful. And that's no way to work either, because the streets, they don't forgive you because you're being careful. The streets, they're called the mean streets for a reason. You know, there's a reason New York City had close to 40,000 cops, and sometimes that didn't seem like enough. So you put all that together, and maybe you could understand why I was, even though I was hesitant, I wanted to stay. I just knew I had to leave. I knew it. There was no room for error there. It was very tight. A couple of people that I know stayed. I guess, you know, they were lucky, they were good, a combination of everything. You know, they were good officers, they were lucky that something didn't blow up around them, and all of a sudden, you know, things are not going well as far as keeping your pension. And that is a tough way to work. It's a little worse than working your whole career and having a prosecutor bring you up on charges over you taking police action. I guess that's kind of up there, but this is after you earn your 20 years when you can just walk away, and in my case, run away. And the only satisfaction I had was I was interviewing in my final time. I was interviewing for federal jobs because I knew I wanted this to continue. I just wanted to continue someplace else. And if I was gonna pick, I was gonna pick Florida. I didn't know a soul, didn't have a relative, a friend, cousin, nothing. I just wanted to work in a better environment, lower cost of living. I got tired of paying the 4 taxes in New York. The 8 months winter, it seems like we were getting 8 months of winter. Some people say we still got spring and fall, but I think we were getting 8 months of winter at the end. And I think that's just because as the older I got, the least tolerant I was to the cold weather. You know, I've had enough. You know, I'd rather come to Florida and the humidity and the heat and everything, and I still enjoy it. I still smile, and I go, thank God I'm not freezing. That's all I tell my friends. Thank God I'm not freezing. Yeah, I'm gonna work, that's fine. You know, it's with today's economy, you have to. You're raising a family, you know, you have to. So thank God I'm not freezing. That was my motto for quite a few years. So I do thank you for hanging on there, staying to the end. Like and subscribe. I've got, you know, a good amount of videos stored up in the library now. You can, once you subscribe, they'll be fed to you by YouTube, the way the algorithm works, from what I understand. And I hope you like what you got to hear. I got a couple of different subjects too, so you'll be able to. I got for retirees, I got for veterans, I got welcome to my town of PSL. So it's a nice mixture. Hopefully there's something there that you like, if not everything. Okay, thanks for your time.